and welcome to episode 41 of the Tea and Possibilities podcast. I'm Nikki, and this is a podcast all about knitting, crochet, and making all the things here in East London. You can find me online on Instagram at hippie_Nikki. On Ravelry, I'm Nikki Hippie, and you can find the Tea and Possibilities group there as well. For quick links to everything that I mentioned, have a look in the description box below. And for a link to the full show notes, you can find that down there too. Firstly, as always, I want to say a massive welcome and thank you if you are a new viewer. I really appreciate you giving the podcast a shot. And if you are one of my returning viewers, thank you so much for sticking with me every episode. I really appreciate that. It has been a little while. I've got my cup of Earl Grey as per usual, and yeah, why has it been a while? It's been a while because the weekend I was due to podcast, I actually ended up going to Stitches West, which I will talk a little bit more about later in the episode, and there will be a Stitches West video going up. So have a look below for the link to that. If it's not live just yet, I will add the link as soon as it is live. Then of course there was my birthday, so yeah, it was just a combination of very busy times really. Slowing down a little bit now, which I appreciate. But yeah, there's lots to talk about this week, and it is a very overcast day and it's lunchtime. So let's get started with Whipped Up. First up is my really big ongoing project. It's my granny stripe, and as you can see, I have added a few more rows to this. I didn't actually take it with me to San Francisco because I figured it would be too enormous, so I left it at home. I have made up this magic ball. This is out of the leftovers from everything in my Cozy Memories blanket. So once this is finished, I will have to make a start on some of my minis, and I have many minis, as you will see later in the episode. So I will be making a start on those. So you'll probably be seeing a lot more of the memory blanket and my granny stripe, just where I tried to get through some of those because I'm not a massive stasher. I don't have the space to be a massive stasher, nor do I have the spare finances to buy everything that I love. So I do try to only buy for projects. And I really like having something like the granny stripe and the Cozy Memories in progress, because it means that whatever shows that I go to, I can always justify getting some minis because they will find a home in one of those two projects. So that's all I've really bought recently. But Rich and I are talking about spending some time this year decorating the flat, making it a much more usable space, getting some really good storage solutions in. And I have an idea for what I want to do for my yarn and making, which does also mean I'll have to keep the stashing, down to a minimum. So I am trying to kind of get through as much as possible before we make a start on that so that I've got plenty of space. But yeah, I am in love with magic balls. They are so much fun to put together. I really enjoyed finding all of my scraps, and I lined them up to figure out what kind of colours, in what order I wanted them to go in, and then I just magic knotted them all together and wound them up into this like gobstopper ball, which I absolutely love. Isn't it gorgeous? And if you have a look on my, there's hair on it, there's always hair everywhere. But if you have a look on my Instagram, you'll be able to see kind of this in various stages. So I did take a picture of it when it was fairly new, and I just really like how it changes every time you add a colour into the blanket and this gets smaller. This looks different and I really like it. Unfortunately, my granny stripe has completely outgrown a project bag. I could put it in a tote bag, but I'm kind of constantly working on it, so I don't really want it to be bagged up and difficult to get to. So it's sort of living in one of my birthday presents. Isn't it lovely? This is a rosewood yarn bowl that Rich's mum got me for my birthday. It's got this kind of lacy cutout design around the side. It's super smooth inside. It's incredibly tactile. Actually, I really like things like this. Smells really good, and it's got this kind of swirly edge where I thread the yarn through. So my magic ball lives in there. I thread the yarn through here, and then I tend to just fold up the crochet blanket and sit that on top of it. So it's kind of it's a design feature for our living room at the moment. But yeah, I really like that. It's really cute. It's kind of Indian design, which I really like. It's kind of, that's very much the kind of thing that I really enjoy and think is very beautiful. So yes, that's a beautiful addition to our living room. Slight downer though, I have completely misplaced the crochet hook, so I haven't actually worked on it for a couple of days. I'm sure it will turn up. I'm planning to have a big tidy up later today. Everyone else does that, right? Where you kind of keep things clean and tidy up to a point, and then one day you're just like, I'm gonna make it super, super tidy, like it's a magazine. And I'm kind of in the mood for doing that later. And that's when things always turn up, when you tidy. That's usually when I can't find something, I go, if I can't find anything, I probably need to tidy up. You know, because you get tidied and you found whatever you're looking for. You probably found 10 other things that you didn't know you'd lost either. So tidying for the win. Next up is my pavement sweater. I actually took this project to San Francisco for Stitches West, and I have to admit, I was not brave enough to take it on the plane. I was really scared that I was going to end up having it taken away from me, and I thought, well, what I'll do is I'll take the ends, you know, what are they called? You know the little ends you can get with Chalgo interchangeables, so you can take the needles off and then just put these stoppers, that's what they're called. But I thought I would take those, and it was also last minute, I actually couldn't find them anywhere, and I just thought, I'm going to put it in my hold luggage. So I did a few rounds every evening back at the hotel because I was exhausted. Stitches West is really tiring, plus jet lag, so I did kind of a few very sleepy rounds. But it's kind of cool that my jumper is so well travelled. But I'll show you my progress. Ta-da! There we go. I have got the full length of the body now. So all I have to do is the hem shaping. So that's going to be the next thing, and then it's only the sleeves. I say only the sleeves. How long have I been working on this? But it shall be wearable soon, I promise. Yeah, this is my first fingering weight sweater. Previously I knit Rich one in Aran, I knit an Andy Satterland in worsted. My Harry Potter was also Aran, I think, my Weasley jumper, and I'm sure I've done something else. Yes, I did one in a DK weight as well. And this is my first fingering weight, and it's super simple. It's just round and round. There's no shaping for the body. It's going to be a really easy to wear item, but it takes so long. It's going to be so wearable, but it takes so long. Yeah, so I'm really looking forward to having this finished. But yeah, I'm really happy with it. I'm still really loving how the colourway is knitting up. This is Industrial Kingfisher by Stranded Dye Works. I think it's gorgeous. I think it's going to block really nicely. I'm really happy with how I've been alternating skeins. I find that the further down the body I go, because you can kind of see a little line, can't you? You can probably see that just there. But the further down I go, it's more hidden, so that's good to know. It feels like I'm making progress in this new thing that I've never done before, and it's in the back, so I don't really mind. But yeah, I'm very excited. I think it's going to look really good with my kind of colouring. As I've said before, it's going to look great with leggings and jeans, and for those of you who've never noticed, I wear a kingfisher most of the time, so it's going to go quite nicely with that as well. But yeah, this is how much I've got left. These are the two skeins. I'm in a bit of a tangle. These are the two skeins that I was alternating. So I think I've probably got enough, maybe, cross my fingers, for the body. And then I've got one more skein in here somewhere. Here you go. I've got one more skein that I need to wind up for the sleeves. So I think I'm going to be okay. I don't think I'm going to need a fourth skein. But if I do have to go shopping at Stranded again, I'll probably have to get another couple of colours, you know, just to make it worth the postage. So I'm not going to be complaining about that at all. Now finally, after those kind of old friends projects, I have something brand new to show you. Are you ready? Look at that. Isn't that amazing? I actually cast this on last night, and this is the ribbing for the front of the Kerrytown pullover. This may be familiar to you if you are a viewer of Inside Number 23. Katie knit one last year, and I thought it was really nice. I thought it looked gorgeous on her, but it wasn't until she came to visit me and she was wearing it and I saw it in person that I thought, oh my god, like this looks great on her on the podcast, but it looks so much better in person. And I had that click moment of like, I actually want that. Because I think sometimes you see things online and on other people that you go, oh, that's really nice, not quite for me. And then you see it in real life and you go, this is for me. This is like cables everywhere. I love a good cable. The first jumper I knit for myself was a cable jumper. It had 2 cables here, a V back with a cable down the back, and I got it out of an old magazine. And I loved it, and it just didn't fit very well. The yarn was a poor choice. So I really want a gorgeous cable jumper. And I think this is it. Now, while I was at Stitches West, I was working on the Love Knitting stall, and we were selling, see if I can remember everything. We were selling Paint Box, Yarn Collective, and Willow and Lark. Willow and Lark is a fairly new line. It came out last year. Now, Willow and Lark is probably quite familiar to you. I've talked about it on the podcast before because I do have a sweater quantity of Willow and Lark Woodland, which is their kind of tweedy line. It's got alpaca, viscose and wool in it, I believe. And I have a couple of balls of Ramble in a very pale grey that I was thinking of potentially making some fingerless mitts out of. But spending 3-4 days squishing this yarn, talking about it with people, there is nothing quite like that for getting the creative juices flowing. And I had to get myself a sweater quantity. So here we have a gorgeous sweater quantity of this. This is Ramble, and I've got the label just here. So this is a really splendid superwash wool. Wool, wool and more wool. But this sweater quantity was a gift from a lovely friend at work, and I had to cast it on straight away. It is so, so soft. Rich is after a jumper because it's his 30th birthday year this year. He really wants a cotton jumper, but this, I think it might almost have tempted him away from that idea. This is gorgeous, it's squishy, it's knit up so beautifully. This rib is really, really squishy and gorgeous. Having worked on the pavement for several months now, I had actually forgotten how lovely it can be working on rib. There's something really, really satisfying about it. Like, it looks really nice. It's got that kind of squish factor where the rib kind of goes up and down. And yeah, I actually took a great deal of pleasure in working on this while we watched The Walking Dead last night. I've measured myself and I'm planning to do the second size, and I did do a very small swatch. Again, I promise I haven't had any red wine, I'm only on the tea. I did do a very small swatch, and I thought it was all perfectly on gauge, so it was fine. And I thought, I'm just going to work on the rib and see how I feel about it. And I'm really happy with how it's knitting up. So yeah, I think I'm going to be okay. And I'm really, really looking forward to doing all the cabley goodness. I think what I'm going to do is bring both this and the pavement to Edinburgh Yarn Festival. I would like to finish the hem shaping and get at least one of the sleeves cast on for the, picked up I should say, for the pavement, so that I've got something that's kind of not too, you know, a bit more brainless. I know there are some decreases involved, but that's probably easier than a cabled sweater. But this is going to make fantastic train knitting. And of course, I should point out that this is the first of my Make 9. So of the 5 sweaters I want to knit this year, this is the first one from that challenge. So I am really, really happy to actually be making a start on that, because I feel like I've been working on the pavement forever. And I've kind of put aside the campsite cardie because I'd like to get a couple of my Make 9 ticked off before I deviate from my challenge. So yeah, I'm very excited. But now I have some stash to show you. As you just saw, I received a beautiful sweater quantity of the Willow and Lark Ramble, but I also got a sweater quantity of this. This is the Yarn Collective Hudson Worsted, curated by Michelle Wong, and this colour is navy. This is gorgeous. It is extra fine merino wool and yak, and I can't find on here the exact percentages. I'll put them in the show notes if I can find them. I have never worked with yak before. I have felt it, and it's gorgeously soft, and this is beautiful. And I think that this is going to be my second Make 9 project. I think this is going to grow up to be the May by Andrew Mowry. And I've got plenty, and I might even have a bit left over, so I might make myself a cute cabled hat. There's actually a mirror behind the camera. I think that's fine, don't you? I think that's a good colour. But yeah, so this is going to be cast on next. I think I will probably cast this on when I get back from Edinburgh. I might need more needles to do that, actually. Maybe I'll buy needles in Edinburgh to cast this on when I get home. There's a couple more things that I wanted to show you before I show you my lovely Yarn Festival acquisitions. And the first is this. This, as you may or may not know, Katie of Inside Number 23 and Amy of Stranded are my good friends. And sorry, I just got really distracted looking at the yarn then. And they very sweetly sent me a big care package, including some face masks and some cookies and some sweets, all of which are gone. And this beautiful, beautiful skein of Naive Watercolour, which is one of my favourites of Amy's, and I don't own any, and it is gorgeous. Now, I was planning on my birthday to cast on a new colour affection for me, and I thought that I was going to use my Harry Potter yarns, but I kept kind of moving them around and trying to figure out which colours would go together, and none of them would. They all worked brilliantly in the Find Your Fade and don't really work in anything else. I'm sure I can make them work some way. They'll kind of go into a project with a couple of different skeins maybe, but for the time being, they're going back into the stash. But this one, I kept looking at it and going, I want to cast you on. I want you to be in my colour affection. So I spoke to Amy, colour genius that she is, and I said, I really like your pinata colourway, and I think it would go really gorgeously with this. Do you think one of your greys would make a good third colour for colour affection? And she said yes, and she's very kindly going to bring them to EYF for me. So this might be my EYF cast on. I might start my colour affection while I'm there. Because it's so mindless, and we're going to be kind of hanging out a lot, and it's going to be good just to be going back and forth doing a squishy garter stitch project. I think it's going to look gorgeous. So yeah, there we go. That's two beautiful sweater quantities that are going to be knit up fairly soon, and we'll be completing 2 of my Make 9 challenge. And this little beauty that Amy sent me is going to inspire a knit along. I really wanted to launch a knit along for my birthday, but things being the way they were, it didn't quite happen. But the knit along I really, really want to launch is the Reknit Cowl. This is going to be a crochet or knit along. Basically, all you have to do is reknit a pattern you've already knit before. So for me, it would be the colour affection. That is why I wanted so much to cast on one on my birthday. The colours didn't quite work, so now I'm pushing back the start date, and I will be knitting up a colour affection for me out of this. I will start a thread on the Ravelry group to kind of give all of the details about this cowl. I'm thinking of launching it the weekend of Edinburgh Yarn Festival, because that's when I plan to cast on my colour affection. I will either do it while I'm in Edinburgh or when I'm home. So I think, let's say that we'll kick it off on Saturday the 17th of March. No whips are allowed, so you will have to cast on the 17th or later, and if we run it to the end of April, and then I will draw winners in May. If you'd like to donate a prize to this cowl, please just get in touch via Ravelry. I'm Nikki Hippie, and if you want to get involved, I will put all of the rules and inspirations and all that good stuff on the blog. They'll be in the show notes, and I will leave a link to the thread all about it just down below. So get planning, guys. What do you want to reknit? I've gone to a lot of yarn festivals since I last saw you, and I have got lots to show you. Next up, we have my bag full of festival goodies. I was pretty restrained at both Unravel and Stitches West because, as I said, I kind of have all the sweater quantities that I need for the time being. I really don't like buying things without a project in mind for them because they end up just kind of sitting there and taking up space, and it kind of begins to make me feel a bit anxious. Having a few skeins here and there is really nice and inspiring and lovely to have, but when I've got too many, I begin to feel anxious. So you will be completely surprised, I'm sure, to find that I only bought minis. Look how restrained I was at Unravel. This is just 2 little sets of minis. So the first ones I bought were from Easy Knits. These 2, they had like a pick and mix section where you could just take the ones you wanted, which I really appreciate because whenever you get a bundle of minis, what always puts me off from buying the bundles is that there's usually one colour that I don't want and there's the colour that I do want in another bundle. So I really appreciate when people have mix and match. This is Champers, which I love. It's like amber. It's absolutely gorgeous. And this one is Neoness, which is so beautiful. I love those pops of turquoise and purple and mustard. Those are basically my favourite colours. So yeah, these 2 make me very happy indeed, and I can't wait to get them into my blanket. Now, the reason that I bought a Fine Fish minis, so I had 2 reasons. The first was that I don't own any Fine Fish, and I really, really love her colourways. I nearly bought a sweater quantity of Butterball when I was at Pomfest, and I restrained myself. So yeah, the other reason that I really loved this sock set and had to have it is because, hang on, if I hold it like that, you'll be able to see them all, I think. It's because this is the only sock set that I saw that I loved every single one of them. I didn't want to swap any of them out. I didn't kind of think, oh, I don't like that one as much as the others. I loved all of them. I just think they are beautiful. This kind of charcoal grey, that's just perfect. I love it. I just love them, and that's another thing that I really like about the blankets that I'm doing, that I get to test and taste indie dyed yarns that I wouldn't necessarily get to try otherwise. So I'm never going to be able to buy, I mean I could win the lottery, who knows. I'm never going to be able to buy all of the sweater quantities of indie yarn that I would like to. I'm never going to be able to get all the colours that I would like to, but by having minis, I get to try colours, bases, dyers that I have never tried before, and because I'm doing both a knit and a crochet blanket, I get to see how the different techniques actually respond to those colours. So I have noticed in doing them both that some look better crocheted than they do knit. They all look gorgeous, it's just I have a preference for one over the other. And yeah, I really, really like having these memories and being able to try new things by just doing a scrappy project. Next up is my Stitches West haul, and I have to say I was very restrained, so you'll probably be a bit disappointed. But you know, I didn't know I was going, I didn't plan, I didn't have any money put aside, but I'm really, really happy with what I bought. First up was this skein that Craftsy were just giving them away, which was awesome. This is from Cloudborne Fibres, and it's Merino Superwash Sock Twist Mini in moss. And I love green. Green is one of my favourite colours, and it's so soft. I'm actually really surprised that it's just merino, because it could almost have cashmere in it. It's absolutely gorgeous. So that was a little freebie, which I really liked. Next up, I popped to the Never Not Knitting stall. Never Not Knitting is a beautiful shop that I never thought I'd get to go and see, so seeing the booth was an absolute treat. And I followed Alana Darkos for very many years. Is that how you pronounce her name? I hope so. I'm really sorry if it isn't. And I followed her podcast and her design career. I think the things she makes are absolutely beautiful, and I really want to knit some of her jumpers one day. And I treated myself to a teeny tiny pair of scissors, and these are so well made, they're so sharp and they're so sturdy, and they were just a really nice thing as a little memento that wasn't just yarn. I do feel like they're quite sharp. I do feel like they need a little cover before going into my notions bag, so I probably will keep these as at-home scissors for the time being. If anyone knows of any good little covers that I can get for them, just let me know. So those are my first purchase. Next up, I went to Barmaids. Now I have listened to the Knitmore Girls for approximately 6 years now, and they're in their 10th year. I happened to see them a couple of times at Stitches West, and I was a bit too shy to go over and say hello, particularly because I was working, so I was only kind of dashing around really, really quickly as I had time. But they are gorgeous, they were so chatty and friendly, I could always see them talking to people. But having listened to the Knitmore Girls for so long, one of their sponsors is the Barmaids, and they do the Lolo Body Bar. And for those of you who don't know, I like to use quite gentle things on my body, things that are as natural as possible, rather than lots of chemicals and lots of kind of fake perfume. And I did once try to order some Barmaids products, but unfortunately the shipping and the customs and all of that was pretty prohibitive. It got a bit expensive, is what I'm trying to say. So I took the opportunity to buy myself a body bar. I really wanted the vanilla orange because vanilla orange is my favourite scent in the whole world. Chocolate orange is my favourite thing to eat, so it reminds me of that. And they were sold out, which I was absolutely gutted. So I got Highlander, which I believe is inspired by Outlander. And it's so good. I have to admit I haven't actually used it yet, I've just been sniffing it because I didn't want it to look all used and horrible when I shared it on the podcast. But it comes in this really sturdy tin, which I appreciate. And when you open up, it's got this bit of greaseproof paper which says, ribbing, moss, seed and garter are all balanced and combine the yin and yang of knitting. Stephanie Pearl McPhee. And I really like that little touch. I thought that was gorgeous. And then inside is just this beautiful bar of body butter. And that's going to be super useful for when I travel, when I go to the gym, and just as a treat at home really. And it smells gorgeous. Oh, it's just so good. It's kind of like aftershave. It's really nice. So if you are based in America, or you have someone who can be a Barmaid's mule for you, I really recommend it. It smells gorgeous. I tried it on my hands a little bit, not everywhere yet, but I will report back because it is lovely, and I hope one day I can get some of the vanilla orange because it's just my favourite. It really is, and I'd love to try their face pudding and their deodorant. They're basically the ideal shop for me, and if someone could please stock it in the UK, I would buy all of it, so please do. Next up is the lovely Katrinkles. And I couldn't find their stand when I was kind of in my little breaks from working the Love Knitting stand, running around trying to find things, and I couldn't find their stand. And then one of them, whose name escapes me, I think his name was Aaron, came over to have a look at our yarn collective stuff, and I was like, oh my god, I love Katrinkles, I really, really think your stuff is gorgeous. And he, it's the brand that does those really cool little sweaters where you can sew the yoke yourself to make a really unique kind of Christmas decoration. Again, really wanted some, but shipping it to the UK is a little bit expensive. But then he came back with some goodies, and these are Stitches West stitch markers. So they've got little jumpers that say Stitches West 2018, they've got California on, they've got the trolley bus, a little bear, some palm trees, and I was so touched. And he also gave this inch rule, which is really nice, a little hedgehog on it. And I just thought it was really sweet. So thank you to Katrinkles. You do beautiful, beautiful work, and having these that I can actually feel the quality now is amazing. So I recommend Katrinkles as well. My big purchase, of course, was yarn, and I had to buy from Destination Yarn. Destination Yarn, all their colourways are inspired by places. So obviously I had to get the Central California set. One of them has kind of come a little bit undone, so sorry about that. I think that was probably from being in my luggage. But this includes Napa Valley, Napa Red, Golden Gate, Coastal Fog and Yosemite. And this one here is the Golden Gate, and this was an exclusive. So I'm so chuffed to have this. I think it's beautiful. And Jenny, who I work with, and we actually walked the Golden Gate Bridge. So this is a particularly good memory for me. And I was just so happy to have this. And I nearly bought a full-size skein of it. And then I thought, well, I don't really knit socks yet. So why not get some of these? And these are beautiful. I did pick up some other bits and bobs as presents. We got a couple of Nevertheless She Knitted pins for some of the girls at work. Kind of regretting not getting myself one now. But yeah, I had a great time, and do check out the Stitches West video that I'll be putting up for kind of more detail about the crazy time that I had, because it was mad. I had a call when I was on my way home. I was on the bus on the Monday, just someone saying, are you free this weekend? And I was like, well, I was going out for dinner and to see Black Panther, but sure, why? Do you want to go to San Francisco? And then on Tuesday afternoon it was all confirmed, and I had to pack, and I was on a plane Wednesday morning. So yeah, it was pretty, my feet didn't really touch the ground, and then I came back and it was my birthday, and yeah, it was a crazy time. But I'm really looking forward to putting these into my blanket, and just remembering the fact that I had the opportunity to go there was amazing. The fact that they thought of me was really cool. And yeah, I recommend Destination Yarn. Their colourways are stunning. And this one here, the Golden Gate one, having walked the Golden Gate, it's really reminiscent and it makes me really happy. So thank you. And probably before I put these into my granny stripe, I will save a few grams of each one to put away for my Advent swap at the end of the year with Katie and Amy. So spoiler alert, guys, some of these are coming your way. So I just put all that down on the floor and was like, okay, that's done. But then I spotted these. These are Paintbox Cotton DK, which I ordered before I went away, and they arrived a few days before I left. And these are going to be the Watermelon Booties by Hopeful Honey. I talked about them in the last episode. I would have had a go on them already, only the crochet hook has gone missing, as I said, and it's the same size for my blanket as I need for this. And I really don't want to buy a new one because I know that as soon as I do, it will turn up. So I'm going to try and find it first. But those are my watermelon colours, and I think they're going to be really cute. And I'm thinking that I might make a couple of pairs, because as you can see, I've got quite a lot. So I'm going to make a small pair and a larger pair so that she can kind of grow into them, I guess. It just seems a shame to have all this yarn and not use very much of it. So yeah, I will let you know how they go very soon. I have to say I'm feeling a bit discombobulated. I haven't done this for a few weeks, and I don't normally have all of this stash to share with you, so it's thrown me a little bit. So before we move on to Knit and Natter, I just wanted to remind you about the Reknit cow, because I did mention it during stash and maybe it got lost in all of the pretties. Basically, I really want to do a knit along while I'm working on my colour affection, because I really loved making the colour affection for my mum, and I want my own. I want to knit it again, and I want to make it for me. So I'm going to knit one out of Stranded Dye Works. I'm going to start it either while I'm in Edinburgh or when I get back. So it will be around the 17th of March, and I would love you to join me. I will put all of the details in the Ravelry thread, and I will link to it below so that you can find out and join in. But yeah, really excited. I have had a little break from doing knit-alongs, and now I'm raring to go again, and I'm really looking forward to seeing what you make, you know, choosing winners at random and posting out the parcels. I actually really enjoy making out the parcels. So yeah, get in touch if you would like to donate anything, and basically you've got all this week to have a rummage through your patterns, have a browse through your projects and think, what do I want to make again? And you'll have about a month and a half to work on it. I can lengthen that, maybe extend it into May a little bit more, but we will see. Now I'm thinking maybe mid-May. Check the thread. I'll have a proper think about it and put it in the thread. But now let's move on to Knit and Natter. I wanted to talk about International Women's Day. It happens every year on the 8th of March and is a great opportunity to talk and share about the great achievements that women have made and the work we still have to do. I really enjoyed browsing through people's recommendations of great women to follow, and something that really touched a chord with me was A Playful Day. Kate, who shared some really interesting women I hadn't actually heard of before, and her thing was very much like, I want to share people and women who are different to me, so be they from a different country, a different race, or any kind of different background, because we do tend to surround ourselves with people who are quite similar to us. We surround ourselves with people that we meet in our area, and they tend to be quite similar to us because they live in that area, and things like that. And I found that really touched a chord with me, because I have been very, very lucky to grow up in London and to go to schools that were incredibly racially diverse. So I feel like I have a lot of diversity among my friends. However, I am a straight, white, middle-class woman, and therefore I have it about as good as a woman can get it. Women still have a long way to go. However, if you compare me to somebody from a different race, or with a different sexuality, from a different country even, I probably, very, very likely, do a lot better than them. I face less discrimination, and things like that. And that really troubles me, because, as I say, I do have a racially diverse group of friends, so I hear a lot about the racism that they face on a daily basis, and that really, really troubles me, because I'm probably incredibly naive when I say that, but women are people too, and it shouldn't matter about the colour of your skin or who you fall in love with or anything like that. But unfortunately, we live in a world where it does seem to matter. And I very, very firmly believe that no woman is equal until all women are equal. And just because I face less discrimination than a woman of colour or a trans woman doesn't mean that, oh, well, that's fine, it's okay. And that's not fine. Until every woman has the same rights as every man, until all people are equal, regardless of their gender, their sexuality, their race, their cultural background, whether or not they're transgender, I don't think that we as a people can say that anyone is truly equal. And as you can no doubt see, this is something that I feel very strongly about, because unfortunately you do see a lot online that say, well, trans women, for example, don't really have a place at this table. And that is so unfair. We as women should be embracing all of our sisters. We should be holding hands and marching forward together. So I guess what I'm trying to say is, let's make sure that we are aware of what's going on around us. I think it is incredibly important, particularly for someone like me, coming from a point of privilege, to be aware of the fact that I am privileged and other people are not, and this is what their lack of privilege looks like. I think that's really important. So I guess what I'm saying is, let's all make sure we're aware of that. Let's all reach out to the people around us, men, women, everyone, and make sure that they are brought along and they are part of the big changes that we hope to make. So yeah, that's kind of me on my soapbox a little bit this week. I feel very lucky to be part of the knitting community, because I do feel there is a lot of inclusivity here. I talked a few episodes ago about Pamela Wynne Butler's fantastic book, Handsome, which is designed with transgender men in mind. I think the tagline for it was garments for everybody. So yes, she got transgender men to model them, but hey, you can be a transgender woman, a man or a woman, anybody could wear them. And I thought that actually made me quite emotional, because I was like, here is somebody in our community doing something concrete to make sure other people who might feel excluded normally have a seat at our table. And I think that's beautiful, and I think that's something that we should continue to do, and that is something that I am very, very proud of this community for doing. So yeah, that's it for this week. As I say, a little bit discombobulated just by having not done it for a while. I'm hoping to get an episode up fairly soon after Edinburgh Yarn Festival. I acknowledge that depends on how tired I am, because I am planning to get back from Edinburgh and go straight out again for a friend's birthday. So I may not get any podcasting done on the Sunday, but cross your fingers for me. If I get a good night's sleep, it might be okay. Until I see you again, have a lovely week. Enjoy Edinburgh Yarn Festival if you're going, and do say hello if you're there on the Friday. If you're not, I wish you a yarn-filled weekend. And I'll see you very soon for another cup of tea. Take care, bye!